Can you hear me? How do I invite people? Um, all right, here we go. Approved. There. Awesome. We did it. Hey, Morveious. Yeah, I'm glad we made this happen. So, all right. So, this is a really small group and like hardly anybody's in this. So I figured this will be like the perfect platform, like for us to talk real quick, and nobody will be watching. But the main goal was to put this on Amin's channel. So, so yeah.
No
thank you. Yeah. So thank you so much once again for coming on tonight, or this morning for you, perhaps. So Morveious, how did your telekinesis journey begin?
Wow, I never even realized it. I actually had it until I just started meditating, right? So, but I was doing it for long periods of time, and then I never really tried to move anything or do anything. But I do remember, like, even before that time, shit would just be falling down. You understand? Like, I would be looking at something, and then it would fall over, or things would pop in the room, and I would think, oh, what the hell is that? But I was just looking at it, right? I was just staring off into it, and I didn't think anything about it for years, because I actually only been doing that for about, what? Recently, 1 year only. For all the videos and results that I got. But I think what took me there was like my martial arts background, and me being disciplined. Because I just want to let everybody know that if you don't have discipline, you are not going to be able to touch these layers of your mind.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And what I mean is, like, you have to really master your desires, because your thoughts and your desires, everything running around in your head, those are all things that are going to block you. Like, a lot of people have issues because and I absolutely don't condone like using drugs or alcohol. So that's one thing that I don't do. No drugs, no alcohol, no. If you want to get these higher levels, because all these things take an effect on your brain at some level. So if you do open up, new passages or things like that in your mind that you don't think is possible, it can open up other things too that can be detrimental to your health.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that anybody ever talks about that, well, at least from things that I've seen. And I would say that it's very easily for people to lose their mind as well.
Right.
Okay. So these things will literally, like, if you're not ready for them, your perception of reality can be broken. Kind of like a bad trip on drugs. Like, some people never come back.
Right.
So you just got to be very careful, and just know that, yes, many things are possible. I would say almost damn near everything is possible.
Right.
But for those that say they don't believe, what they really mean to say is that they don't believe in themselves.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. So, you obviously, last time we talked in that group chat that we had, you obviously have like a really extensive martial arts background. So, even while you were practicing Taekwondo and what else did you do, BJJ? You mentioned that you train with guys like Barry Yoshida and Dominic Cruz and stuff like that over at Alpine.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I did Thai boxing and Taekwondo through my high school and junior high, and I continued to do. I kind of broke off from the whole Taekwondo thing because it had things that worked in it, but it just was, there wasn't really any kind of like boxing or grappling skills that were really involved. So I don't necessarily believe in any kind of style or system, but I do believe like if you can master one thing at a time and put it together, you'll be a better overall uh, fighter or martial artist for that. Because all martial arts means is military art. So if you
Right.
don't have the discipline, it comes back into discipline and order, right? So if you don't have discipline to say, that is the problem in like a lot of mixed martial arts and things is a lot of people say, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, I'm good at this, and I'm good at that, and I mix it all up. But what if you were a master at this and a master at that, and a master at this? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like wherever your area is, just like your mind, if you're training, you have to be true to yourself. You have to say, I'm weak here. This is where I need work. I'm not going to do what I'm strong at.
Mm-hmm.
So that just kind of pushed me away from the Taekwondo because I had to master all the
Mm-hmm.
kicks and things like that. And the forms that was traditional nonsense, as Bruce Lee says.
Right, right, right.
Okay. Yeah. Because it has nothing to do with like part of the art. That's the beauty part. But when it comes down into it, fighting is using your whole body.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I was kind of weird because I was always the one who never wanted to fight, but I was always the one it was called every time. And like when I did Taekwondo, I didn't do Taekwondo like the new way, the Olympic way. We did it where we didn't wear any pads, and he told 5 students to get up and then go attack you
Mm.
at one time with no gear and to show you no mercy, so you can use your real techniques.
Mm.
So they were, but my old teacher, Master Deloise De La Rosa, he taught the U.S. Marine Corps martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
The ones they call McCormick martial arts now,
Mm-hmm.
for protecting national security assets, such as nuclear weapon silos and things like that. So those
Mm.
guys cannot fail. You understand? Uh, and he incorporated other things, so that's what kind of like broke me off because like I got into Muay Thai
Mm-hmm.
probably around the same time because that was doing with a lot of clinching and a lot of elbow and knees.
Right,
And
right. Do you
yeah,
think possibly, obviously you did a lot of striking based, martial arts. I mean, do you think possibly getting hit in the head or something like that could have possibly like activated your psychic senses, if you will? Do you think that's a possibility?
yeah, that's funny too because like, okay, before I go into that, and then I also did wrestling at the same time in high school, right?
Oh, you wrestled too. Cool, cool.
I wrestled in the freestyle
Oh, okay.
for years, right? But I was one of those guys who never went to practice, but I'd always beat everybody like national champs.
Oh, okay. Cool, cool.
So I got to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu like right after high school, and I just excelled really quick. I just excelled in martial arts generally really fast because
Mm-hmm.
when I did it, I didn't do it only at practice. I did it all day long.
Mm.
The only drawback of jiu-jitsu and grappling is you have to have a partner.
Right, right, yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Because with striking arts, you can just like hit the pads all day and do the drills and get good stuff like that. But grappling, yeah, you can't just like you definitely need a partner in order to get good. So yeah, yeah,
yeah.
certainly.
So I met with a lot of those guys. I did some of those tournaments and stuff. And coming from a wrestling background, I got disqualified a lot, but it was
Yeah,
fun though.
I know what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy to get disqualified.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I can relate because I came from I went from wrestling to PJJ as well, so I can totally relate. Yeah, yeah. So.
So back to your question, do I think that getting hit or whatever could activate it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because I've been in real life combat situations where I was fighting 7, 8, 9 people.
Wow.
And there's like a feeling that it's like a charge, right? This is even before I
Right.
was meditating. I always felt like this charge. It starts from the ground,
Hmm.
and then like the sensation of your legs are gone. And it
Wow.
comes up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
yeah.
comes up here and it goes out your arms.
Right, right.
And it's almost like you ever been fighting or competing and time slows?
Yeah, I kind of know what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I would hit people and they would fly, like literally.
Hmm.
I don't know what it was. I never thought about it until someone saw me fight, a friend, in an
Hmm.
actual street fight.
Hmm.
It was some uh, MS-13 gang members or something like that. I was in Tijuana because I used to live in San Diego.
Hmm.
Uh, and it started over a silly reason, but they had a plan because there was a lot of them.
Hmm.
Um, and the punishment that I received, I couldn't believe that, and the punishment that I gave, but obviously I got hit many times with that many people. It's reality, right?
Hmm.
But for, I think if it would have been somebody that was average or normal, they'd be dead.
Hmm.
Uh, and there's a lot of people that talk about like hard body qigong and things like that. Well,
Right, right.
if you train your body to the extreme to be hard, it's very hard unless you get hit directly in the brainstem.
Right, right. And I'm sorry to interrupt. What is your ethnicity? I mean, you mentioned that you're in Guam currently.
Yeah. So I'm mixed. I'm half German and African American.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
So yeah, so that comes down to, I guess, your adrenal glands and things like that,
Hmm.
and how much of your adrenal glands are can be open at one time.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people call it, you know, they gas out because their adrenaline dump, right?
Right.
Uh, I would say it would have to be something you would have to experience, but it probably doesn't work that way for everybody. But I've never been in any of my competitions. I've never been knocked out.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, okay. It sounds
Yeah,
to me. It sounds to me like based on everything you're telling me that you through your really disciplined martial arts training that you've done since you were a little kid and stuff like that. That and you were meditating. You know, and obviously you're getting into a lot of fights. You're getting hit and stuff like that. You're kind. It sounds to me like you're naturally doing like a hard body qigong, if you will, naturally. you know
yeah,
and that because you mentioned because I observe you doing telekinesis. You're one of the uh in my opinion one of the best telekinetics I've ever seen. And you mentioned that you've only been doing it for like a year and stuff like that. It sounds to me like it all these disciplined practices that you've been doing for all these years. And then once you discovered that you can do telekinesis, it just kind of like naturally just came to you so easy because of these disciplined practices that you've been doing for a long time.
yeah. It happened like that, but it was funny too, right? So the first thing I seen this thing on like moving a side wheel, like a piece of foil, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Because I always used to look at things and just wonder, can I move that? And then I would snap myself out of it, and I'd be
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm tripping, right?
Right,
But there's
right.
always like a feeling, and I was like, wait, I'm tripping. But then I started trying to do it, and it was so difficult. I said, I'm one of those people that if something's hard to do, I want to do it.
Hmm.
So it's something that seemed impossible, and once I can rotate this foil fast, I was
Hmm.
like, okay, wait. So I kind of stuck with that for a while, and then rotating it faster and faster until it was like fall off because it'd be moving too fast.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I would try to change the directions and everything like that before I started playing around with like cans or pins or anything like that. And I will say this though, there is a lot of fake TK out there.
Right, right. No, I agree.
Okay.
I certainly agree. Yeah.
So, you know, those that practice, that know, I think they really know the difference between the real thing and the fake thing.
Right.
Now,
Yeah, I certainly can kind of tell too. But at the same time, though, I try not to judge and just because it certainly could be possible that someone could be doing something really extraordinary. So I always keep an open mind. But I know what you mean. Yeah, we've discussed some few people that I don't want to mention their names last time, but yeah, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's layers in your brain, right? Everybody thinks it's easy. Like it comes down to discipline. I think that if you're willing to go through the time it takes to actually meditate, is so important. All that stuff is just a precursor, and you can't be searching for power. You know, you if you want power, there's an issue with you.
Mm.
You can't be on a seek for it because that's ego.
Hmm.
Ego's not your amigo. Okay.
Hmm.
Some of the strongest people in the world, or the ones that are really good at things, are some of the quietest and some of the most reclusive, like people that don't usually go out in society and attend to the same social gatherings and things like that. So
Right, right,
I would almost say that if you start going down this journey, just know that everything has a cause and effect.
right.
If you're not willing to put in the time and like get rid of, you have to destroy old psychological uh, boundaries, like labels on things, for example. Like this is a pin, this is a cup, this is a girl, this is a boy, this is called this, that, that, that. You got to get rid of all that.
Right, right.
You can't have any of those things. And, you know, people think it's easy just to sit down and meditate. Anybody who's ever meditated knows it's not easy.
Right. Yes, certainly it's not. Yeah.
I would say that it's almost equivalent 5 minutes of meditation is almost like, you know, 5 minutes of sprinting physically because it doesn't seem like a long time, but to your body
Hmm.
and your mind, it takes a lot.
Hmm.
So the whole point is to be conscious. I just call it conscious sleep. So you're not going to be, you know how people say, oh, lucid dreaming, lucid dreaming. Well, meditation is like the same thing. And it becomes, your conscious is awake. In other words, you're not sleeping, but your body is asleep. This is the state of meditation where no thoughts are to enter your mind. It's fine to use visualization if you need to, but I think that if you just sit down and try to have no thoughts, the visions will come on their own. Uh, and if you can do like really hardcore meditation or breathing, I mean, I think that's the best thing because like I never had a teacher. I just started doing it myself, and you know, the best teacher is experience. So as much as people want to say they could teach you something, I mean, until you experience that for yourself, it's going to be different for everybody.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, okay. So, Marcus, you mentioned meditation and breathing and stuff like that. Roughly, how many hours do you, do meditation and like you maybe practice telekinesis and stuff like that a day?
I probably do probably an hour a day of meditation, but before
Okay.
when I had the most results as far as the meditation, I was doing like between 2 and 3 hours at a time of meditation.
Oh, wow. Okay, okay.
So to get into those higher states of, you know, the brain states, you know, you have
Right,
theta, beta, alpha,
right,
uh, you know, all those are different states of consciousness that you have to get into uh,
right,
to really be able to do anything because you're dealing with brainwaves, right?
right, right.
You're talking about moving something with your mind, and you know, chi, ki, prana, yama, whatever you want to call it, they're all the same.
Hmm.
Okay, and telekinesis is just I guess it's a different way of mentally projecting that,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people have, when you hear someone talk about chi or something like that, it seems like, oh, they're mystifying it. I mean, like in old times, like all chi is like, chi can be blood flow, chi can be energy, from your body, any form of energy, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Even movement like this is chi. You
Right.
understand?
Right.
So, at least from the way that I understand it, but everything's key in meditation. So, anybody who is trying to learn, you need to really stay away from people or not talk to everybody about what it is that you're doing.
Right. Right.
Because once you accomplish this, a lot of people say, well, what's the point of moving something with your mind? If you're asking what that point is, then the point is it's not for you to know,
Right. Right.
right? Because what an accomplishment is that, right?
Right.
Think about it. Even if you get something to move this much and you're 100% sure, but the problem is when you focus on things and when we're trying to move it, it's not going to move. Because in your mind, you already moved it. So if you visualize it moving, or when you see it and you get excited, oh, I moved, it's going to stop. It's going to kill that.
Right. Right.
It's going to kill that progression.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like what Bruce Lee says, you do all this training, right, for meditation or whatever, or martial
Mm-hmm.
arts, whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then you repetition it so much that you move without thought. He said, I
Right.
don't hit, it hits. And that is what it is. It's like Zen archery or baseball. You know how the baseball player, he looks directly at
Mm-hmm.
the target and then
Mm-hmm.
he looks away and then he's feeling that and throwing. That's a
Mm-hmm.
feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a precise measurement like looking through a scope.
Mm-hmm.
That that is a pure feeling. Or when you throw a piece of paper into the trash can when you're playing around with your friends, right? And you're far away, but you have a feeling like this much force right here is gonna get it in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get it just right and it goes boom and boom and you're surprised because you made it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's similar to that in that nature, that there is no, if there's an easy path to something, it means that it would be obtainable for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that mental barrier is so deep, like especially if you have anger issues or you have emotional trauma
Mm-hmm.
and you've developed a personality where you have to become something to protect yourself, like a false ego or something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to be tough. I was never one of those guys where I always was quiet. I always watch and observe behaviors, other people, actions. You just have to observe every little tiny thing. You may think it's very minor, but you have to observe everything. And then you got to look at yourself and say, why am I observing that this way? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because like when we get, if you learn these things and you get angry,
Mm-hmm.
you can either hurt yourself unintentionally or hurt somebody else if you
Mm-hmm.
get at a real high level. Because there's some really strong telekinesis people out there, and I don't consider myself one. I mean, this is a work in progress. I've recently had to stop practicing for a while because I've been to the hospital 4 times,
Oh, really?
and that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to be careful uh, with
Now,
it.
is that due to perhaps you exerting too much energy, or what exactly happened that led you to the hospital?
Yes, it's using too much energy can kill you. A
Right.
lot of
Yeah. No,
people,
I've certainly experienced that as well. Yeah. Yeah.
so a lot of people don't like to talk about it, but if you use enough chi or mental mental strain, you can drain a lot of life force out of your body.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So,
I've
like
ex- right.
go ahead. Yeah, you've experienced it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Like I literally felt like I was gonna get a heart attack in like multiple occasions. And when I see you, like rolling, like like well, I forgot what it was. Like a was it like a? It looked like some kind of uh like a monster can or like
Yeah, it was
some type of
a bang can.
Bang Energy or something like that can, like
Yeah.
and I could just see in your expression like, oh, like you exerted so much energy to move that thing, and I'm looking at that going like, man, he must have used up so much energy. And so yeah, and I've had similar experience of that as well.
So yeah, that's the point. And like when I went, I had all these tests ran, right? Like on my heart, on my veins, on my capillaries, and everything. And they said they can't find anything. So I'm assuming that that has something to do with the practice. Because I probably not doing enough energy cultivation. Uh,
Right, right.
uh, so you just got to be careful with it because you're talking about dealing with your unconscious and your conscious parts of your brain. It's almost like your unconscious is doing the work,
Hmm.
and your conscious brain is what stops you.
Right, right.
You understand? So you
Hmm.
have to program it, reprogram your thoughts, and just know that, like a lot of other great masters said, you really don't need to seek out any masters. All the answers are inside.
Hmm.
If you really spend the time and do the work, it'd be great to find someone who can give you advice. But at the end of the day, I think that those people can't go through that journey for you to be able to perform those individual things.
Hmm.
And that's why I have a really big problem, like with, I won't say there's some people out there who try to charge extreme amounts of money and things like that to teach people these things, and I think that that's very wrong.
Hmm.
And it all goes back to the occult days. Like, occult just means hidden. It doesn't mean devil or
Right,
anything like that. It just means hidden knowledge.
right.
I think that some knowledge should be kept from certain individuals that have intent. It's kind of like having a gun, right?
Mm.
Like, it's not the gun who does the damage.
It's the
It's the
individual that you,
individual.
yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. So,
So
can I ask you something real quick in regards to that? Do you believe that like everybody in the world should learn energy? Because I've heard mixed opinions. Because I've interviewed a lot of people. Do you think that everybody should be learning energy, or do you think like as you said, this knowledge should be sacred and it should be kept to those that treat it wisely? Perhaps. What is your opinion on that?
I would say that with everything that created, there's an equal and opposite that's going to follow, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So that if everybody practices energy work, if your intents are ill, you'll end up destroying yourself like everything else. So, yes, whenever you create something, there has to be something in the opposite to oppose it. It's just like yin and yang, right?
Right.
It's the, you know, night and day. They're not really, it's not, you can't think of things good or evil. They're duality.
Right.
Because in the evil person's mind, he believes what he's doing is good. You understand?
Right. Right.
Even if it is to benefit himself, he thinks what he's doing is good. He's not really alert. And that's another thing too. You have to get rid of conceptions as good and evil,
Mm-hmm.
because these are mental constructs that are. I think that this is nothing new. There's nothing new under the sun, and maybe just in some of us, it's written in our DNA code.
Mm-hmm.
Just to, because who thinks about going and doing this, bro? Come on,
Yeah.
like,
Right. Right. You got to be a little unique to do this stuff. Yeah.
yeah. But I think the point is, it's like, just get away from negative people and people who tell you you can't do anything. Uh, and pursue what you want to pursue and see what's possible.
Right, right.
And that's really what's going to open up gates for you and everything else in your life.
Right.
You shouldn't be, yeah. Go ahead.
What is your ultimate goal with telekinesis and energy work and stuff like that? What do you want to ultimately accomplish by doing these practices? Do you want to get to the point where you can like levitate your body or something like that, or?
Well, sure. I think anybody would love to do that, because if you could do that, it's possible to fly, right?
Right, right.
But yeah, I don't put any limits on it. I mean, I just like to bring solid facts, like solid evidence for people that would be scientists or whatever, for undeniable evidence to now say, okay, you prove this wrong now. Prove it wrong now. I don't think anybody's ever stepped forward. You would have to say that, oh yes, there would be. I think it now is more important than ever with everything that's going on in the world. It seems to me that people still haven't learned. Whether that is fighting over religion, that is an ultimate construct that will stop you from doing these things. Because it's a train of thought. Like I said, everything you do is through experience. Right? Everything you can learn. Someone can tell you everything, tell you all kinds of things, like martial arts, right? They can show you all these things, but if they don't have you do it, you won't learn. So I think the entire goal is to be able to master yourself.
Master yourself. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Master yourself. Go to the highest level that you can go. Because at the end of the day, like when you came into this world, and when you leave, you're going to be the only one that can do that. Of course, you're going to have help from your mother and father, but what I'm saying is, like in life, when you're born by yourself. When you die by yourself. When you learn, even when you have people help you or assist you, you're going to learn by yourself. On your own mental framework.
Right, right.
So yeah, that's that.
Cool. Morveious, I saw you. I'm not sure if it's your own child or not, but I saw you. Sharing the Seen Without Eyes stuff.
Are you talking about this?
Yeah, that's that thing. Do you practice that as well?
Yes.
How's that coming along for you?
It's coming along good. It's easier for kids to learn.
Right.
Just because they haven't been taught all those constructs, right? They don't have all those things running through their mind. But yeah, you don't have to. It's been already proven by science. You don't see with your eyes. You see it in your visual cortex, which is located in the back of your brain, right? So everything you see right now is already in darkness. Like when you look around the room, what you're seeing is actually already just in your head. So if you think about that, telekinesis and seeing blindfolded, easy. Because when you dream, right, your eyes are closed, but you can see.
Certainly, yeah.
Okay? That's a form of projection. Like we're projecting the world out on itself, experiencing itself at the same time.
Right.
So, yeah. Like even me, you're looking at me right now, and you think that I'm separate, but I'm already in your head. I'm just a piece of you, and that's why everybody's connected. Does it make sense?
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Since you're a really accomplished martial artist, I did want to ask you is, and I'm a big fan of martial arts, and I've done it my whole life as well. You know, do you think, you know, possibly, just hypothetically, you know how, like, you know, in MMA, the Gracies came along to prove that, you know, traditional martial arts are really ineffective and stuff like that. Then, like, the wrestlers took over, and then, like, after wrestlers took over, like, everybody had to learn all the disciplines to be, you know, and then that then evolved into, like, you know, everybody has to be like a world class at all these disciplines, and that's where we're at and stuff like that. Do you think possibly, hypothetically, you know, as energy work is like growing and stuff like that, that, you know, the next phase of like MMA or like fighting is going to be like, you know, basically like, you know, like what you read, like what you see in like you know, the movies and stuff like that. We're gonna be like, you know, punching each other with energy, and, you know, we're gonna be like electrocuting each other and stuff like that. Do you think do you think energy work can like take martial arts to the next level, and like, you know, and just like an ordinary kick won't be able to, you know, like hurt the other person and stuff like that? Do you think that could possibly hypothetically happen with MMA or any other combat sport?
It's already happened.
Oh, really? Could you elaborate on that?
Remember what I said? There's nothing new under the sun. Like, we just talked about a few of the Japanese martial arts right now, but a lot of people don't know is all those martial arts were all one back in samurai day.
That's true, yeah.
Jiu-jitsu, judo, aikido, you know, and some karate was too. But all of those were one. They didn't teach they broke off because of sport.
Good point.
To keep things safe. Like my way, everybody moves different. Even if you were to teach everybody the same martial art, everybody would have a different style. It doesn't matter what that is. Everybody fights different based off their body anatomy or whatever. Now, it's already happened because now you see people doing sweeps, spinning around, hitting people with elbows, jumping off the cages, kicking people in the face. All these things are different expressions. If you master the basics, it opens up these other techniques that people say they don't work. They have no idea what they're talking about, because all techniques work. It's how you apply them. So you're just seeing, and there is guys, you're super hard to hurt, or there's energy can't be seen. Like, it can be by people that are sensitive to it, but general energy, like when you pull a punch and you aim and then you strike something. Now, if there wasn't a difference of energy being produced by an individual, everybody wouldn't have different strength levels, for example. Because when you're doing something, like when you're training, right, you're really only taking what's in here and you're putting it here. So I would say how strong you are and how much power you have really comes from your mind and not your body.
Okay.
So when you hit someone, or you know, you can see a whole bunch of videos, like, you know, like the Qigong guys are getting hit, kicked in the nuts, all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right.
All of that now that's not normal. Right? But if you see like Muay Thai guys, right? When they hit each other, they're like, okay, that's great. Yeah, hit me. It's dealing with the same force. The problem is when the attention is drawn away from that, and then you attack. They call it the element of surprise, right? Like, expect the unexpected, because it's the unexpected that hurts the other person. So you can be strong in all these things, and you could be the best, Bruce Lee, whatever, but it's always going to be what you never expect that's going to shut you down. You know? And I think that it's already happening, but I don't think like people will be bursting other people's hearts open and shit like that. No.
Okay.
But I mean, it already is possible to strike someone in the face and have their whole eyeball come out. You know, or to break their orbital bones or the cranial bones.
Right.
I mean, that's dangerous. That's already dangerous. You know, being able to break bones that are 30 times harder than concrete is a big deal. Um, but in the sport aspect, probably not. Like, I'm sure a lot of these fighters, like, if they were to practice or cultivate energy, if they're already not, they'd probably be 100 times more dangerous.
Right, right.
So then I think that where the responsibility would come in, like, are you building this power to hurt? Because if you are, you're going to end up hurting yourself. You know,
Right.
it's kind of like what's your intent? Like, it's great to be strong and powerful, but if you can't treat people the same way I treat everybody the same, even the homeless guy. I don't ever like look down on people or you know, because of their age, race, or sex, or anything, or their financial situation. I just look at everybody the same way because we're all the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when it really comes down to it, like we can. That's what I say about these titles and things, like, you know, religion dividing people, sex dividing people, color dividing people. I mean, if you see something wrong, you should speak up about it regardless of who you are or where you are or what group you belong to.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said before, that everything inside you, you're seeing it inside. You're seeing it inside your brain, which is darkness. So everything that you see is literally part of you. So when you're moving something, people think about moving the object, but that's why the object doesn't move. You are the object.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only moving yourself as if you were moving this cup like this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when you were a baby to pick this up, this was really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you train that, think about how long we trained this. We take for granted, just like this. We
Right.
trained that a long time, or how to walk.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, the blindfold stuff now. Yeah, this was very interesting. Uh, I had made a little bit of YouTube videos and stuff like that, but I had kind of stopped because I don't think that people are really ready to receive all the information that is out there. Uh, it seems like everybody in the world, they're concerned about drama or sexualization of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So basically things that make no sense draw the most attention.
Right, right, right.
Okay. What we're talking about right now, this is stuff that can change the world.
Right, right.
This is life changing. But the thing is this is not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that everybody can't do it. It's just that it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So like people in our groups and stuff, yeah, so my daughter, she's really good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Like she can read, she can see the colors,
Mm-hmm.
she can ride her scooter,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the times we double blindfold her. So a lot of people just see this. A lot of people see this and um, they say, oh, well, there's a way that light can get through. If you put on one of these things, there's no light getting through this bitch.
Oh yeah, I know. I have one too. So yeah.
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 But we'll tape her eyes closed, or we'll put this over her face, and then we'll put a like a bed sheet or something over that, like 3 layers.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do the same test and we'll get the same result.
Mm.
I think that this is key to I haven't been when I really start focusing on this for myself, because I'm not training my daughter anymore. This is really key to telekinesis. I believe they're very tied and very close.
Mm.
So if you can see colors with your eyes closed, that's a certain kind of depth perception that's extrasensory, that I believe that once you learn this, because this is dealing with different brain waves than what you're dealing with alpha for telekinesis. You know, you're hyper focused. You're like you're looking.
Right.
But this is a good way for people who don't like to practice meditation, right? Because your eyes are closed and you can't think of anything.
Right.
So people that are very physical or like, you know, ADHD or whatever, they have a hard time standing still. I think this is a great alternate. Now, if you really want to start seeing blindfolded quick, it's really easy. Just sit in a room for 3 days straight with no light. And then get your tools or whatever and then put on this mask. There's a great forum. It's called Seeing While Blindfolded. It's a Facebook group I'm part of. I invited a ton of people from the page to it. And they teach you everything for free.
Is it the group with Wendy and Rob?
Yes.
Oh yeah. I recently interviewed Wendy and Rob, so yeah.
Yeah, Wendy's and Rob's. Wendy and Rob.
Yeah.
Now they've went to a lot of these things like InfoVision and things like that, and they have you sign NDAs and things like that where you cannot show other people this.
Right.
It's because they want to take a ton of money. They want to make a ton of money showing you this.
Right. Yeah, Wendy and Rob expressed that, you know, they just, you know, a lot of teachers are so mad at them and stuff like that, you know, so they were telling me about that. So yeah.
You know, and this is old. Everything we're talking about right now is old. This all comes from your little occult knowledge people trying to not have this stuff public. I mean, we're scratching only the surface of this and telekinesis, but I do believe that, like, it probably is good for people to take a little bit of a drawback on you doing telekinesis and tell you, like, master either this or meditation first. So, like, I'm kind of taking steps backwards.
Okay. Yeah, I've noticed that you haven't really posted a whole lot recently, so yeah, that kind of makes sense. Yeah. Yeah,
so I'm taking a trip backwards until I can produce this on a high level. And and those meditations up to the 1 and 3 hour marks that I was doing before, because that's going to open up things for you just to be better at everything else. You know, I would probably almost guarantee that whoever really is good at telekinesis or whatever, they probably spend hours upon hours meditating.
Right.
Or at some point they did.
Right.
So
that'll be a great tip for like newbies that are trying to get into this work. Just the key is just really just meditation, cultivating energy, and you know, really just getting into that you know, the theta state, if you will, the brain waves. So
yes, and another thing that people probably aren't going to like that I'm talking about, I already talked about a lot, right? You got to be disciplined, to try not to drink or smoke. You have to clean your body first. Clean your body, clean your mind, then do the discipline portion. And the discipline portion is probably the hardest, but sexual energy is real big too, man. That's the biggest energy we have in our body.
Could you elaborate on that? Like, do you mean like semen retention and such?
It could be considered that, because there's fluid inside of your there's fluid, testosterone, potassium, zinc, and all kinds of other things that are contained in there. For a man, I'm not speaking for a woman, because woman's a whole different anatomy.
Right.
But for a man, that's what people talk about, transmutation, right? Transmutation is taking something and then turning it into something else. So for a man, I think that our biggest desires, because the way we're wired like animals, the further you can depart yourself away from the animal is the further you will excel in your abilities, because everything that rises, it rises from the bottom. It's in a straight line, right? So your spine and the fluid that's contained in your sexual organs, I would almost guarantee that every single chi key person out there knows that that is where the main source energy is coming from, because that's the life source energy. So in other words, don't lust after things and don't desire them. When you start really seeing your big progress is when you will separate. It's going to be hard because we're guys, right?
Right.
You know, there's nothing wrong with being attracted to somebody else. And but if you can minimize that and like see people as actual people, like women as actual individuals and not sexualize them,
Mm-hmm.
that it just changes your whole perception, man.
Right,
Like
right,
once you do that, that's a huge step because that's the number one demon, right?
right, right,
For you, that's a big hurdle.
right.
Like, you know, and all you got to do is leave it alone.
Right, right. And I love what you're saying right now because it goes back to, like, what I asked you about, what is the purpose of training any of this? You said it's all about mastering yourself, and it all comes back to that. So yeah, I really love what you're saying. Just, you have so much wisdom, and yeah, it's just yeah, we can talk about this all day, but man, like, you really are a really, really wise person, and I think that you are just just an incredible person. I'm really excited for the trio that you guys got going on the Sunrise channel and stuff like that, and I'm just really, really expecting more big things to come out of you guys. So yeah. So before we go, Morveious, do you have a website where you sell merchandise and stuff like that? Do you want to list that, and we'll put that in the description
Oh,
on YouTube?
yeah. I'll send it to you in a message after
Okay.
we chat. Yeah, I started that because originally it started as a YouTube thing for the blindfold scene, right? So I said that, like, what's the number one best way to have people find that information but still be motivated, and a way to attract people into like a better way of like living or life. So I try to make like positive apparel and things like that, like, so you could go work out in the gym, or you could go out with your friends and just have something that's different, just like a different style or whatever.
Right, right. What
So
is
I
that?
just
What is that called again? I forgot what it was called.
Morveious Zion Power of the Mind clothing line.
Power of the Mind closed on. Yeah, we'll definitely put that in the
Yeah.
description. So yeah, definitely check that out. We'll also put their Facebook group as well as the Sunrise YouTube channel. Do you have your own personal YouTube channel as well that you want to link up? I can put that in there as well if you want.
Yeah, sure. You can put that in there. That's connected to I did a whole series with my daughter with using this.
Awesome. Okay.
This.
Yeah.
So there's only about 8 or 9 videos up there. I'm gonna
Okay.
kind of take a pause on that, but yeah, I'll send you all those links, and
Okay.
you put them in the description, and people come check it out. I mean, I got some cool stuff, and
Awesome. Awesome.
we're all learning here. Nobody, no, the thing is if you can practice one thing your whole life and never master it.
Right.
So
Right. Mastery is endless. Yeah.
yes,
There's no
mastery
limit to
is
mastery.
endless.
Yeah, there's no limit to mastery for sure. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for your time, Morveious. You're just such a phenomenal practitioner, like I said, and I'm truly, truly honored to be able to talk to you like this. So, yeah. So, thank you so much. Before when we get off this live, I would like to call you real quick on Facebook Messenger. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, call me up.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.